I was born in Altoona, Pennsylvania, February 7, 1927. I had 2 sisters. I was the middle. My mother was not the most demonstrative woman. She was a little bit older when she had us. I was very close to my father. My mother was a cleaner. We had to clean the house, do everything, but I loved it. I was the only one of the kids that did anything with my life. They both got married early. And my dad, he worked for the baking company, Freihofer Baking Company. And I used to love to go there and visit, all the goodies. And then he would bring home donuts. So I spent a lot of my days in the dentist. I used to work in the garden as a little kid. We had a beautiful built-in porch, a side porch on the house. And then next to that was a big old sidewalk going down to the garage. And on either side of that, we had garden. We grew corn, green beans, radishes, onions, everything. Peonies and rhubarb. I used to have to pick the bean beetles. And I did this when I was very young. I love nature. I love waking up in the morning and looking out at my blue sky and white fluffy clouds. That's what I like here. I really enjoy my view from my room. There was no extra money. We always had enough to eat and clothing, but there was no money for education. Nobody ever talked to us about education. All they were interested in was getting us to the church. We had to go to church every Sunday. Since then, I've given up a lot of those educational views. I don't particularly follow that anymore. In grade school, I didn't do very well because I was immature. They started me in school at 5, and when I hit 7th grade, I don't know, I shouldn't say anything about my parents, but they used to fight. This was very upsetting, and I had trouble concentrating. Mom would try to help me with my math, but she wasn't that great at doing it. So when I hit 7th grade, they held me back a whole year, which was good because it worked out fine. I was more capable of going into junior high. I always wanted to be a nurse. When I was a little kid, I'd always take care of people that, little kids that fell, and I put a Band-Aid on them or whatever. I wanted to be a nurse, and I said, how am I going to do this? There's no money, but I know it'll work out. And the war was getting ready to end. They offered us a job working at Sylvania Electric Products, making radio tubes for the Navy. So I got a job working there after school and on weekends. This was during World War II, and I had already taken the preparatory course that they offered us for nursing. And all of a sudden, I'm reading in the paper where the government was offering nursing school free of charge. I signed up for the County General Hospital in Philadelphia, and I was accepted. I went to Philadelphia all by my little self. Well, I didn't really. My parents drove me there, but I had never been out of my own town. And I had the best education. 3 years we lived in the hospital. They fed us, they bedded us, they did uniforms, everything. And the government even gave us a little stipend every month. I stayed in the hospital and worked only for about 6 months or so. And then my friend Mary Beth came to me and asked me would I like to go to California with her. I said, sure. I didn't know how to drive because we didn't have a car. And I went to the Department of Motor Vehicles and I picked up a book, read this book, and I learned how to drive. And I went and took my test and I passed it. And 2 weeks later we took off on the Pennsylvania Turnpike at 70 miles an hour. We stopped all along the way, and we had friends in Texas. We stopped in one place and went horseback riding. It took us 3 weeks, and we stayed with Mary Beth's sister until we could find a place for ourselves. And not too long after we were in our apartment, they didn't care for my being too friendly with their dates, and so they opted to get me married off. I mean, I was young. I was only in my 20s, and I let them go ahead with all the plans and everything. It was my husband, Ed. It didn't turn out to be the greatest marriage in the world. He was not a great father or husband. I see this ad in the paper for these beautiful homes in Granada Hills being sold to veterans. My husband was a vet. He was in the Marines. I saw this beautiful house, and I met the neighbors next door, and they had kids the same age as mine. I signed up for the house. Then I went and told my husband. And then eventually, he wasn't being very helpful. So about 18 years, I divorced him. Here I am in this big house. So I ended up raising my kids myself. It was really difficult, but we survived. My daughter still has ups and downs about everything that happened. My son, he comes and takes care of me does my shopping and stuff, and he's a wonderful person. My daughter is too. My son is Richard Edwin, and Linda Lou. She's married, lives in Oregon. Yes, I worked in 4 hospitals. I worked in Children's Hospital in LA, Hollywood Presbyterian, and then I worked at Old West Valley. It was a hospital on Balboa Boulevard. A lot of maternity. I like maternity. I went one day and bought a timeshare, and it was the most wonderful thing. Cruises were the best of all. I took my neighbors to Alaska, and she got more people together. There were 17 of us, and that was on the Holland America. And then the Star Dancer, we went to Mexico, and then the Azure Seas. I went to the Caribbean. I met this fella, Don, and he managed apartments in Panorama City. We became really, really great. We didn't live together because I didn't want to do that, but we partied, and he had parties for me, birthday parties. And when I retired from the hospital, I retired at age 69. I worked for 42 years. I started not feeling too well I guess it was about 2017. And then in 2018, I ended up in the hospital. I had all my papers, so not to do surgery on me, but they went ahead and did my surgery. Now I'm stuck with this bag on my belly, ileostomy, and I'm also having pain in my hip, and they don't want to do surgery because I've already had a broken hip and a broken pelvis. Here I am. I've been to about 3 different assisted livings, and I like this place very, very much. What do I like about it? Well, first of all, I'm an avid reader. I've read so many books, and Nita's always trying to get me to come to the different things. One I like is How to Be Happy for No Reason. It's very interesting. I've been through a lot of hell. I consider that I'm pretty happy now. I mean, not because of any special reason, but just because I decided that's what I have to be. I do. I have 2 great-grandchildren. My granddaughter, she had a baby, and she has a Freya, a little girl. She's 4. I am very close with him. I like him. He was the only one that took care of me when I was sick. He's doing okay. He was a teacher, taught school here for whatever years you teach. He quit teaching to help take care of me. Oh, I took him and his wife to Hawaii. My life was really fun. It was good.